Did your matches get wet? Is there bias in the judicial system? Is AI always right? We answer all of those questions today and more. Welcome to the QBrew Podcast, Episode 3. Are you free to burn your flag? I'm Q.
Brewer.
Let's get started. Today, we have some fire for you. Literal fire. But before we get right into that, let's go ahead and have something a little bit fun. There was some news coming out of Mexico this week. Apparently the Trump admin seized $15 billion from one of the cartels of Mexico. And Mexico was hoping they could get a slice of that pie. What do you think? What'd you hear about that?
Still laughing about that. The fact that they are trying to make any kind of claim to that.
I mean, they have more of a claim to it than we do. I mean, to be fair, we did the work. I mean,
the difference is that, in my opinion, is the fact that they haven't done anything to prevent the cartels. In fact, probably worked alongside the cartels.
Listen, man, they were working on it.
So
they were working on it.
Working on it isn't working with them. Maybe
they were working on it internally through a very slow system. But I think something happened as a result of that. And that's why I just kind of wanted to start off, because this is kind of one of the funniest things. And I think this kind of will take some pressure away from the whole Bridget Macron slapping the guy in France.
Yeah.
So there was a brawl that broke out in the Mexican Senate. Actual fists being flung. Really, really funny. We're going to open that up here in a second.
Kind of a funny thing, too, that actually happens in Japanese parliament quite frequently.
Really?
Yeah.
I support that.
I haven't really seen it for in a while, but there have been times when fisticuffs have come off and they've been straight up brawling before.
Well, do you like seeing stuff like that in your representatives? Is that something that you would want to see in the American Senate?
All.
Okay. The
humorous aspect is funny, but the actual, showing of violence inside of a parliamentary or some kind of governmental procedure is not exactly something that should be done and condoned, in my opinion. Because, I mean, if they can do it there, it just gives some people the mentality that, if they can do it, we can do it too. And it also does provide some kind of legal defense. Whether or not it's going to be useful or not, or actually taken, is a different story. But it does provide a legal defense for people who act out. And, if they can do it, that goes back to that 2-tier system of justice and whatnot. So,
well, someone wanted to bring up the thought that Mexico needs the money more than the United States. How do you feel about that statement?
That's not our problem. I'm tired of people trying to do the emotional argument, or an argument that they are quote unquote weaker or less financially stable than we are. Then that's their own problem. One thing in America has been doing for too long is trying to take care of everybody else, and our internal problems are just as significant as theirs. So the fact that we have taken this money.
My understanding of how the position across the world was like, we were essentially, one, earlier on trying to be world police, and two, kind of bankrolling the defense of everybody. Or providing the defense, but not getting anything in return.
Pretty much.
And I think that's kind of
exactly what's been happening.
Yeah, that's what caused a lot of the problems over in I think the EU and in NATO and all that. But yeah,
you could go down that rabbit hole, but
let's not derail. Yeah, I want to show this video, or I want to show just part of this video quick. I think it's really funny. I like whenever I see certain times whenever the politicians are like heckling the other side, but it's always kind of done in a good old fashioned nature. Like they can be singing and joking, But I feel like in the Western culture, it's gotten very, very serious where they're like, no, I'm actually going to destroy you. It's no longer rhetoric. So I think that we've lost that sense of play or even just common decency. So I want to laugh at
Yeah,
this. That's
I
what
can
I'm
agree
gonna
with
do
that
this.
actually.
So it's 11 minutes long. I think it's just the first part. And I'm getting this clip from Timcast IRL. It's just the easiest first place I could find it. So for the people that are just listening, this is the Mexican Senate, and they're starting by singing. I don't know what they're singing. Do you speak Spanish, Brewer?
Not in the
Habla
slightest. I can
español.
say like uno, dos, tres, and that's about the limit of it.
Okay. Cuatro is number 4, so we learned something new.
Terrible singers.
And then right here, you see
Yep.
these two guys. I'm going to actually zoom in. Oh, that actually doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can't really zoom in. At least not with the setup you have currently.
All right. So right here are the two guys that get into a bickering fight. And the allegation, what people think is that these guys are supporting different sides of the cartels. Like one's like Sinaloa, the other one's that I don't know if that's real or not, but I think that they're just kind of arguing over, what kind of the pie they want to get from that $15 billion, or maybe they're upset about why it happened and how they're going to get their money. So they're right there. That's the altercation right there. So the guy on the left, the older gentleman with gray hair, it looks like he says okay with his fingers. He points, and he grabs the arm of the person on the right first. I can't see the left hand behind him. Did you see? Is that what you're seeing here? It looks like
Yeah. Also, I mean, I can't really tell who initiated or whatever. It kind of looks like they both kind of moved at the same time.
Kind of at the same time, but I was saying just based on what is visible, the right hand of the person on the left seems to be that.
Yeah.
And then they get into kind of a... So he clearly pushed him first.
Yeah. Might lower the volume on the video a bit. It's kind of overpowering.
Oh, you're totally right.
Minutos con la entonación
cut
del
away.
himno
How dare
nacional
they?
mexicano a
It gets better
capela,
as it goes on.
con el himno nacional mexicano a capela.
Yeah, it's kind of blurry in the background there, but
yeah, but the news reporter, like, I kind of feel like they missed an opportunity here. Like if I was the camera guy, like you should have been like, oh, let's go get this. Like you turn in, like you tell him to zoom in on that. Like that's content gold right there. Now, granted, he's probably doing this for his job and trying to be professional, but
well, at the same time, though, that would also paint a target on your back. Because keep in mind,
it is Mexico.
Rumor has it, allegedly, the cartels are basically running the Mexican government, and the fact that if the cameraman did go in, I wouldn't be surprised if they paid him a visit or his family. So, because the cartels are not people you want to mess with.
Yeah, they're probably not very happy about.
Esta sesión de la Comisión Permanente del Congreso del Año correspondiente.
This is why people
Yeah,
hate
they're
them.
like reaching over each other, trying to hit each other. So it reminds me of like those videos you see of high school kids and the teachers are trying to hold them back, and they just start reaching over and ducking around, and still trying to strike. Which
Well, I'm honestly more impressed with the physical combativeness versus like the senator or like the congresswoman that like tried to get into like one of the ICE facilities and like tried to like hammer fist somebody and now is trying to get out of it. That was totally left field. But like that's where that kind of moves me. It's like, oh, I'm pushing you. How dare you? Get off my stage.
Does it show more?
They're still going.
Oh, wait, yeah.
There's a hammer fist.
There's the slap, overhand slap.
Oh, there's another one.
Segundo receso del primer año de ejercicio de la
And that's it. That's just...
Guys, the link will be included. I highly recommend go watching the lead up clip to this and this clip itself. Totally worth it.
Yeah, it is quite humorous. I mean, as much as I don't like to see that kind of thing and the violence, like in any kind of legislative environment, but the fact that it is so emotionally charged, and it kind of just shows the I don't even know how to say this right now. Kind of shows the candor of everyone involved in such a way that kind of just creates. And of course, you pull that out, that specific image out.
Guys, I
That's
have the thumbnail for this episode.
oh man, that what's the that you have that meme where like it shows the propaganda and who's actually at fault and everything else. But yeah, that kind of shows like that completely different context if you were to pull out without any kind of context of the video. All right. Anyways, I forgot what I was going to say.
For people that are listening, I decided to just put a box around a square box around part of the image for the video, and it looks like the man is getting
Caressing
passionate.
the other man's
Yeah,
face.
he's pulling him in to say hello.
Yeah, that's a interesting hello to say the least. Anywho, let's move on with this. Jesus Christ, man.
That's not Jesus. Jesus isn't Mexican.
Moving on.
Okay, so now we're going to turn towards something that's a little bit more in kind of like the argument space, the debate space, and what the episode is argued or titled. In chat, if you guys would like to state your positions on something like this, please do. Are you free to burn your flag? Is it okay for you to take your country's flag, walk outside, and burn it? Ever? Or other times whenever that's appropriate? And the reason that this got sparked is because of the controversy and the messaging coming out surrounding the executive order that was put out. And I do have that. Yeah. And we're going to go ahead and read through the purpose and the measures to combat. It's just 2 sections. It's going to take probably a minute. I'll read the first section, and then do you want to read the second section, Brewer?
Yeah, I can try.
Okay. So this is from the White House. This is a executive order. I don't know what number it is, but this is related to all of the protests going around related to ICE, people actually burning the American flag. And then I kind of want to go into what I think will actually be some back and forth conversation of when it is or is not okay. Is there times for it? And was this framed incorrectly in social media spaces and the media? So it says, by the authority invested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. Section 1, purpose. Whoops. Our great American flag is the most sacred and cherished symbol of the United States of America and our American freedom, identity, and strength. Over nearly 2.5 centuries, many thousands of American patriots have fought, bled, and died to keep the stars and stripes waving proudly. The American flag is a special symbol in our national life that should unite and represent all Americans of every background and walk of life. Desecrating it is uniquely offensive and provocative. It is a statement of contempt, hostility, and violence against our nation. The clearest possible expression of opposition to the political union that preserves our rights, liberty, and security. Burning this representation of America may incite violence and riot. American flag burning is also used by groups of foreign nationals as a calculated act to intimidate and threaten violence against Americans because of their nationality and place of birth. Notwithstanding the Supreme Court's rulings on the First Amendment protections, the court has never held that American flag desecration conducted in a manner that is likely to incite imminent lawless action or that is an action amounting to fighting words is constitutionally protected. See Texas v. Johnson, 491 U.S. 397, and then 48 through 10. That's from 1989. I guess that's from a 1989 case. I guess that's like a big First Amendment free speech law. I'm not super.
Yeah,
I should know
that's what
that.
everyone is
Texas v.
basically
Johnson.
citing.
Okay.
Yeah, this is everyone citing to say that, this is settled law that they can do this, but go ahead.
Okay. My administration will act to restore respect and sanctity to the American flag and prosecute those who incite violence or otherwise violate our laws while desecrating this symbol of our country to the fullest extent permissible under any available authority.
All right, my turn. Section 2. Measures to combat desecration of the American flag. The Attorney General shall prioritize the enforcement to the fullest extent possible of our nation's criminal and civil laws against the acts of the American flag desecration that violate applicable content-neutral laws while causing harm unrelated to expression consistent with the First Amendment. This may include, but not limited to, which is always fun when talking about law, violent crimes, hate crimes, illegal discrimination against American citizens, or other violations of Americans' rights, civil rights, and crimes against property and the peace, which is significant, and the peace, as well as conspiracies and attempts to violate and aiding and abetting others to violate such laws. And that's Section B. In cases where the Department of Justice or another executive department or agency determines that the instance of the American flag desecration may violate an applicable state or local laws, such as the burning restrictions, disorderly conduct laws, or destruction of property laws, the agency shall refer the matter to the appropriate state or local authority for potential action. Section C. The maximum extent permitted by the Constitution, the Attorney General shall vigorously prosecute those who violate our laws in ways that involve desecrating the American flag and may pursue litigation to clarify the scope of the First Amendment exceptions in this area.
I want
That's
to touch
interesting.
on that. May pursue litigation to clarify the scope of the First Amendment exceptions. So that means this would be also as a way to see exactly how far those are being stretched or what the Supreme Court says.
I kind of read that as allowing the Department of Justice to take like certain circumstances between before the Supreme Court to get finite clarification
To see from the
or
Supreme Court,
anything
is
else.
this fine for people to burn the flag or is it not? So clarifying that
Well,
stance.
federal court to the Supreme Court, but yeah,
Right.
I think that's more of he's authorizing the DOJ to sue or take it before the appropriate courts to get the
Okay.
final judicial clarification.
I think D is what sparks the majority of the conversation around it. If you want to grab that.
All right, let me read it then. All right, the security. I can just not read today, can I? The Secretary of State, the Attorney General, and the Secretary of Homeland Security, acting within their respective authorities, shall deny, prohibit, terminate, or revoke visas. Interesting. Residence permits, naturalization proceedings, and other immigration benefits, or seek removal from the United States as presumed under federal law, including, I'm not reading all that. Whenever there has been an appropriate determination that a foreign national have engaged in American flag desecration activity under circumstances that permit the exercise of such remedies pursuant to federal law.
So that means that they
yeah.
are likely looking to revoke your citizenship status if you are determined that
That is not what it says.
No.
No, it's just keep in mind when talking legalese, the wording is matters because it says nothing about citizenship status. It says revoke visas, residence permits,
You're right. I need to make sure I
proceedings.
don't use the wrong word here. Citizenship would not
Yeah.
matter. So yeah, revoking visas, the temporary permission to be here, or essentially if you're a foreign national and you engage in American flag desecration under this executive order, you might have those documents or that privilege removed.
Correct. And they've already began to do that. The Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, has actually revoked a significant number of visas from foreign nationals, primarily students right now, because they're going through a process that participated in any kind of anti-American rhetoric. Justification being, why should you be allowed into this country to reap the benefits of this country in various forms if you are trying to undermine that country or undermine this country? I mean, logically speaking, it makes sense. However, it begins as, how do I say this? Does the U.S. Constitution protect those who are not naturalized or born into U.S. citizenship? And this kind of goes back to how the
Is that
definition
tying
of
into
what.
the birthright citizenship topic?
Not really. I mean, you can draw a line to that, but I'm not really traveling down that path. It's just more of speaking to exactly to what the wording of that was. And the problem is that there's an argument to say that as someone who is in this country under a visa or a green card or some kind of permanent resident alien, they are considered by a U.S. definition of a U.S. person. And essentially, what a U.S. person is anyone, like I just said, is who is in this country with some kind of legal status. They are legally in the country
Right.
under some kind of legal
There's been
status.
some process to accommodate the
Correct.
laws that allow them to be here. It doesn't seem
Yes.
like
Well,
where does the line occur? So
I kind of want to dive into a little bit of what a U.S. person is and kind of what it is under the color of law. Like, again, not a lawyer. This is just from memories from my time when I was in the military. But a U.S. person is essentially whether it could be actually a living entity or even a corporation, is still considered a U.S. person for like taxing and all
right.
that kind of benefits. But a U.S. person has the same, how do I say, not the exact same, but the nearly the same protections, well, under the Constitution. So by granting someone their visas or whatever, they are considered a U.S. person and thus are protected by the Constitution of the United States. They do have the freedom of expression. They have the freedom to conduct commerce and travel throughout the United States as they see fit, as under that umbrella. The problem is now that this executive order gives the Secretary of State and other agencies the right to revoke any of that U.S. person status.
Right, but they may have
If
but they have a temporary status, but they're still a foreign national, right?
correct, so
Okay.
it's kind of a circular logic that is occurring here, and what is primarily being used as the fuel to say that this is unconstitutional, that it's violation of rights and whatnot, because you're in this country with a visa, but as a visa, you're a U.S. person. And as a U.S. person, you have the same rights as a U.S. citizen, assuming that you don't violate any of the laws, which then could be revoke that visa or resident status. The problem is now that, probably mostly the mischaracterization of what this executive order is actually trying to do.
Okay. What do you
And
think the mischaracterization was presented as, and how was it wrong?
primarily across the left-leaning media outlets and pundits, as saying that it's a freedom of expression, that it's by that Texas law that you spoke to earlier, or that is actually spoken in the executive order, that they have the legal right to do it. The difference is the manner and the intent behind the burning of the flag. Because, I mean, there are such situations where you can legally burn a flag without any kind of ramifications. And we could talk about the proper burial of a flag and the flag code and all of that. But I kind of feel that's outside the scope of this conversation.
Kind of, but I do
Um,
think that you touched on the other side of it, the other side of the object. There is a proper way
mhm.
to get rid of or to decommission your flag. If you guys hear this and you have a flag and you're in the U.S., you could take it to a VA or like an American Legion, one of those military. What are they? One of the
A
military
veteran
groups.
association.
Yeah, a veteran association, and they do regular flag burnings. They do them almost annually. I think they do them annually or biannually here. There's a whole ceremony that goes with it, and that's to give it the proper respect. Um, and that's the side where people actually gather and like people actually get upset and they cry and they it's quite moving to see the people that gather for stuff like that versus the other side that we're constantly presented. Even with what I have on screen, it's a bunch of pictures of American flags being lit on fire. So is it, if you had to pick, no, we're just gonna have to play the game. If you had to pick
Yeah.
whether it was yes, you're allowed to burn it, or no, you're not, and then defend your side. Do you think that it should always be allowed to be burned under any circumstance, or there should be certain circumstances?
Well, I have to say certain circumstances that it would be allowed to be burned.
Okay.
So, I mean, outside of proper burial, I do want to just kind of put that to the side because I'm
Sure.
not including that in the scope of this conversation. Because,
Sure.
I mean, yes, we acknowledge that is a thing, but that is not within the scope of what the intent of the executive order. So,
Now
the
intent,
situations.
so let me make sure I can piece this together. So it sounds like the intent of the executive order is for foreign nationals who, according to what's going on in culture right now across the United States, or well, across many parts of the world right now, go Britain, go Canada, there's riots, there's protests, and a lot of this is being used as just the latest media narrative related to ICE and immigration, illegal immigration.
Yeah, it's a symbol. They're using it as a symbol of, but from their view, rebellion and symbols of.
But the same people that are barking this didn't say a damn word about COVID.
Oh God, dude, that's when you start talking into the herd mentality and just the.
I'm just saying, like there's like from even just from the outside, if you look at the way people are talking about this and who is saying what, the people that are, oh, this is free speech, this is freedom of expression, which I can totally understand the mindset behind that. But whenever I watch a flag being burned, especially my flag, because I was, I'm former military too, like that bothers me. I don't like it. It makes me very angry.
Yeah, I've seen firsthand, people die that they were trying to, well, we were under the mentality of protecting that flag and more accurately, what it represents.
The flags are symbols.
Yeah.
That's why you have all of these other flags with all of these other minority groups being flown at state capitals or in state parks. They're symbols, and that's supposed to send a message. And whenever you are burning that, you are essentially saying this message is better as ash. Now, do I believe for myself that I feel conflicted? I feel you should have the freedom to go out and burn that if that's what you desire. But I also think that actions have consequences. So should you be like, are you free to go out and run somebody over with your vehicle? Yes. Are you going to go to jail for it? Yes.
Most likely, depending on where you are and the situation, but yes.
We're not to the bias in the judicial system yet, man. But you're absolutely right.
I wasn't even, that was part of it, but that's not even the whole.
That's a great segue,
my whole intent. But
yeah. So like, I feel if you're at like a demonstration, an organized group of people to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard, and that goes for everybody, it's good to show up. It's good to like let your politicians, your leaders know how you feel. A lot of them are only going to respond to the loudest voice. A lot of them are looking for a common sense solution, but no one actually talks to them. No one takes the time to call them. At least that's their excuse. But
yeah,
I don't.
Excuse is the right word.
Yeah, I think that whenever you choose to burn a flag in an organized group setting during a protest like this. And don't get me wrong, these have not been summer of love protests. There's looting and rioting and murders. Like, just it's gotten better because, well, clearly the National Guard's been rolled out to stop some of it. But it seems like almost like an active war. It's like if for me, it puts me in the mindset of I'm in like a medieval castle and the enemy is in the distance, and like you get their flag, you torch their flag, and it's like, this is a sign of war, and like then we go fight. And I think that's where the incitement is being used. I think that they're trying to use that for the people that are passionate about what the flag means.
Yeah, it's that. Well, this is something that I've been thinking about now for quite some time, in a more broader sense, not just a flag burning. But we are essentially in what is called a soft civil war inside the United States right now. And to define what that means, and I guess my personal definition of it, is that we are currently utilizing every other means other than actually going to war, like full on guns ablazing, knives out type situation of the Civil War that occurred.
Are you
back in
referencing
the day.
soft civil war in the terms of soft power versus hard power?
Not really, maybe actually, but
It applies pretty well here. Hard power would be
yeah,
using
it's
military force, like what's going on in Russia, using tanks and physical assets, but using subversive tactics and psychological operations would be soft power.
yes, essentially, but
Yeah.
it's also not actually saying that we are in an open war. So the thing about it is that you have the protest, you have the murders that are occurring that are politically aligned. I mean, we could even talk about the most recent shooting that shooting that occurred at a Catholic church, from an individual who was who self-proclaimed to be trans.
Oh, we're talking about
And
the recent, was it Minnesota?
yes, but
Yeah.
that could be considered part of a soft civil war because there are still murders and killings that are occurring, but they are not openly saying we have declared war. Although there's like individual civil wars, like small, like little sects that are popping up and trying to enact their ideology and their mindset and sow fear and everything else for their own gain, or at least the gain for their ideology. So, but there is a soft civil war that is occurring inside the United States. You see it all the time in the way that various media outlets are mischaracterizing statements. And another, like a really good example of this is the whole fact that whenever you see a left-lined mayor or individual or pundit on TV or YouTube or whatever, when they're talking about the most dangerous places in the country, the left will reference states, while the right will reference the city itself.
Well, yeah, because there's a
Because
bunch of, Republican or conservative states, but the cities, at least the majority of the population in the dense cities, are all Democrat.
correct,
Yeah.
but it's a framing of the argument. So
Yeah.
each side will always frame.
It's just like saying something is percentage based versus integer based.
Yeah.
Whichever one's more convenient. Oh well, 90% of the people showed up. Well, yeah, but there was only 9 people there out of 10 invited.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they had a 90,
whatever they can
90%
do
view
to try
rate.
to manipulate the
Right.
values and
It's to manipulate the narrative.
Yeah.
It's all used
Yeah.
to manipulate a narrative. The perception.
Yep, exactly. And the thing about it is that each side will eat up their own, stuff that's being put on the table, the echo chamber, and everything else. So the problem is now that you have all of these statements being thrown out and thrown around, and the difference is now is the moderates. Each side is trying to pull the moderates more toward their direction. The problem is now, I say the problem, but what is currently happening is people are actually becoming more pragmatic, and it's the Ouroboros, the tail.
I think it's just the nature of what's happening. It's part of the pendulum swing, because I feel like we have gotten to the point where everything is like the minority groups were literally gathering together to say they make up a majority, and by every metric they don't, even combined. So I think that we've been so far
shifting.
we've been divorced from logic, I think, too long. So now I think we're going to start swinging back the other way. And
the logic versus emotional arguments that have been thrown around is the emotional blackmail and everything else that
and everybody's
the
just getting
media
tired.
has been pushing.
Everybody's just getting tired. It's like, oh well, you want to go ahead and say it's because I'm white. I don't care. That means nothing to me.
Yeah. Well, it's also throwing around the, I'm not going to say the N word. Not okay. I actually need to clarify that.
Nuclear. Yeah. Definitely don't say
the previous German administration N word, I'll say. Because that word has lost its power. Although ironically, I'm just not going to say it, mostly for the algorithm here.
Okay, so hold on. Like, you've obscured it to the point that I don't know what you're talking about. In my mind, I think you're trying to tell me that we're not allowed to say nein, which means I'm allowed to say no. No means no, sir.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it then. Yeah, it's like people throwing around Nazi, people throwing around anti-Semite.
Dude, I'm sorry, bro. We are not gonna put Nazi on the term with the real N word. Okay, we're just not.
You're mischaracterizing my statement now, Q.
I'm joking. I'm just joking. Come on. It's fine. Go ahead.
But no, it's just people have been throwing around words in the incorrect context and have it basically just muddled it to a point now where that term means nothing of what it actually should.
They've taken they've taken the importance and the meaning out of it because it's just been overused.
Correct.
And everyone's exhausted. It's like, okay, go ahead, bro. Go ahead and call me a Nazi. Like, I don't give a shit. It's not true.
Yeah,
so
whatever. I've gotten to the point in my life where you want to put a label on me and try to cancel me or say something about me that is absolutely not true, and you're just trying to project your internal dialogues onto me because you think that because I think they think that way, that I think that way, and it's just not. Not how the world works.
With the world being as
projection.
With the world being as backward as it is, if you want to call me a Nazi, you probably are the one that hate Jews. Just saying.
Well, I mean, we could go down the rabbit hole of
I don't want to talk about Israel right now.
Well, no. Sorry, that's not what I'm referring to.
Oh, okay.
So going down the rabbit hole of saying that just because I'm white, I'm racist, but yet they're the ones saying that we need to protect the black community inside the United States because they don't know how to protect themselves or stuff like that. Statement in itself is inherently racist, and one I do not believe in. And it's ironic that the ones who are touting and spouting and yelling the fact that you are racist because of this, but they're the ones saying that the black community needs to be uplifted because they can't do it themselves. They need to have lower test scores to get into college because they're not smart enough to do it on their own. That's just it. It's just the racism is just dripping.
You made a really good point there. You made a really good point there.
Unironically, don't realize that they're being racist.
Yeah,
or they do, and they just don't care.
The reduction of the test scores to get in or to pass for something. Or there was even one regarding like traffic controllers recently about someone giving exclusive like giving a test answers or something to only like the black candidates, the only other African candidates. But it seems like a bunch of black. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it, but I think black people are being used by other black people.
Oh man.
Like I'm sorry, it looks that way.
Well, man, so many different avenues to travel down in this.
I know it's a big puddle to step in, but like it's just, am I wrong?
No,
because I mean I can pull up actual examples right now of like the first African American person in this position was corrupt and is going to jail for some kind of theft or corruption. We're seeing a lot of them come out now.
Yeah.
We have
it's
Chicago to look at. We have
well, I mean,
Ohio to look at.
I'm not going to, sit here and, cast the monolithic identity, but because, they're black that they, this was happening. I know you're not trying to say that. I'm
Absolutely
just making
not.
that
Right.
as a statement.
Right.
But the difference is that there is a conversation to be had, specifically about the fact that because of the mentality they have, that they have been oppressed, that they now believe within themselves, or even maybe probably more accurately using it as an excuse to conduct these actions, because if they didn't do it, they would be disadvantaged. And now that they're getting caught with it, and the fact that all of this, it's just, yeah, they're getting caught with it, and now they're trying to use the amount of melanin, the density of the melanin in their skin as a scapegoat. And the fact that, you're racist because you caught me, it's just getting ridiculous. And the whole notion and the current climate of fatigue that word now is being used, is becoming more and more rampant. And it's actually getting to a point that there are a lot of black individuals themselves who are also getting black fatigue. I've been seeing a massive uptick in that they're tired of these loud individuals
It's definitely
constantly causing these problems, and it's making them look bad. And now, because the standard human, pattern recognition ability that everyone has, they're just going to start falling into the stereotype. And it's
I think that it's run its course, though. I think that they've milked that cart as far as they can, because a lot of times, like, politicians are still doing it now against what I think would be good political sense, and they're still saying, "Oh, it's happening just because I'm black," and everyone's just like, "No, literally, there's like this piece of paper that says you stole money."
yeah
Um,
it's well, the problem is now is it's getting massively highlighted. I mean, my X feed is littered now because I've watched a few videos about, specifically, individuals who have darker skin tones that are acting out and refusing to obey lawful orders by police. And it's getting to the point now where for both of us had to clear our throats.
Yeah.
Getting to the point now where it's they're losing all of the gains that were made up until the early 2000s. And I mean, Gen Z and Gen Alpha now, specifically speaking for whites here, are becoming racist, and if not more racist than it was before the civil rights marches and whatnot.
what I find crazy about
Civil rights
that,
movement. So
what I find absolutely crazy about that, and I agree, um, that is, I believe, a natural pushback to having it force fed to you, making it the most important thing every second of every day. And everyone's like, if you're gonna call me a Nazi or a terrorist or anything, anyways, like, go fuck yourself.
yeah, I think may have talked about this before in the previous podcast. I don't 100% recall.
Yeah, it was the
But
damned if you do,
when,
damned if you don't.
Well, damned if you do, damned if you don't. And it's more specifically, it's no matter what I do, no matter how I help or how I try to present myself as a quote unquote ally to you in some manner, that you're still going to villainize me, and no matter what I do is going to be wrong, then I'm just going to do what you say I'm going to do.
Yep.
Or what I am doing, and it's a self-defeating prophecy.
Yeah, and I think that actually
So
tears down that barrier of fair consideration, because it's like, all right, well, if you're going to approach me from this way anyways, I may as well just say what say. I may as well just play along or say how I really feel. I think it'll work out in the long run anyways, as long as the younger generation emotionally develop right, or else they'll end up taking it too far. And then the pendulum was swing too far the other way.
Kind of what I envision happening, and this may be more of a hope and how do I say this? Essentially, it's going to get to the point where they're going to have to, they being not just blacks, but whites, all ethnic groups, going to have to begin to become self-policing. And what I mean by that is other people within their ethnic group holding other people within that ethnic group accountable for their actions and not allowing the rhetoric and this type of behavior to continue. And until that happens, until that self-policing begins, the racism in this country is not going to disappear.
I think the self-policing is an idea. I don't believe that it is aligned correctly in this instance. I believe that the correct alignment to fix this would be community. I don't believe I don't believe separating it by the people in your demographic or the people in that group. I don't know if you were meaning it that way, but I believe this is a systemic result of what's the word I'm looking for?
I think you and I are talking along parallel lines here.
It's
just two different manners at which we're trying to reach the same conclusion here. And what I mean by self-policing, it's other people who are sharing the same skin color, basically speaking out and saying that, no, you're not, this has nothing to do with the color of our skin. You're just a piece of shit.
So you're saying the optics is what needs to happen, even though like I would agree from the narrative and for having the most impact, having an influential, African American person talking to an African American audience would definitely carry more weight, because it's not like they're going to come here and listen to me, even though they should.
Correct. That's be careful how you say that.
I'm joking.
They should listen.
I'm joking.
Well, context of the conversation and the manner, it could be misconstrued.
Oh, you're right. I'm going to be taken out of context. I'm going to be a bad person.
Exactly.
Oh no.
So
don't clip me.
Yeah, I know, but it's just one of those things. Don't add fuel to the fire in certain circumstances.
Man, I am in that stir in the pot mood. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, I know. But I guess what more specifically what I'm trying to say is, I kind of retrace my thought process here. You're all right, the community needs to come together to do it. The problem is that when you have someone who has their mind so entrenched in some kind of ideology, it will take members of that same ideology, or the perception of being members of that same ideology, to begin the self-governing in order for it to become, in order for that ideology to be considered on the stage, so to speak.
If a person is so entrenched in that ideology, is there not an equal argument for someone that is super opposed to their view, or someone that's completely opposite but engaging with them the right way?
That was outside the scope of what I was trying to say. You are correct. If you can get someone like Charlie Kirk to sit down with a leftist and they can actually hold a conversation and actually respect what the other is trying to say, whether or not they agree with it or not, then that conversation is completely valid regardless. But that would begin to try to find that median ground and begin to realize, hey, we're more alike than how we're not alike. It's just that we both are very passionate about this one individual, thing that we are talking about.
But I don't think that we see that very often. I can rarely find a single person of a progressive, liberal, or leftist ideology that will actually sit down and engage with thoughts and topics. It usually just turns into really shitty debate tactics, and I mean really
ad hominem attacks, or however.
Some of the ones that get paid more do better, and they actually make more arguments. But the arguments that they make are easily defeated if you actually are aware of the facts and the information. However, there are information holes that don't get covered by the right side either.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It goes back to the whole framing the argument that benefits the echo chamber, and that's the problem. Is because both sides, I'm talking the extremes here. Both sides were basically refusing to incorporate any kind of information that might discredit or not discredit, I mean, that might not be the right word, sway away from what their ideology is. So, I mean, we're way off topic here, but you start looking at the crime statistics and what groups of people have the highest proclivity to conduct violent crime inside the United States.
Based on what you have
And
heard from research and seen in research and reports, where does that occur? What groups?
Okay, well, you're actually making me want to bust out my math here.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I guess to let everyone know, I went and asked Grok as well as did some other research to verify the group in this country that conducts over 50% of the crimes inside the United States.
Is that let's specify what crimes are we talking? Felonies?
Violent crime.
Violent
Just
crimes.
violent crime.
Okay.
Whatever is considered a violent crime. A crime from one person enacting violence on another. Could be a robbery, could be a murder, could be an assault, along those lines, that do physical harm, not mental, physical harm. So let me actually pull up my numbers here so I can make sure I don't say the wrong thing. I just gotta find it in my hundreds of bookmarks here. All right. So, from what I can tell, is the population, U.S. population, is 334.91 million. This is all using the 2023 numbers from census and other, data. Males make up roughly 50.47% of the population. That's interesting, isn't it? That there's actually more males
I'm going to bring
in
this
the
over to my
country
screen.
than there are females now. So, okay, yeah, I'm zooming in. So, okay, you're actually pulling up. So this is math that I did. This is basically per capita without saying per capita. And so the violent crime rate in this country is done predominantly 78.9% of males. So down below, I then took all that information. So roughly number of crimes done in the country, violent crimes by white people, is 200,870, with blacks being 159,970.
That's 75%.
However,
sorry.
well, no, that's
Oh, that's okay. Got it.
that's
Got it.
that's not the correct interpretation of that.
I was reading it as 150 out of 200. Got it. Go ahead. My bad.
So you have a population of 251.52 million that are white, population of 45.55 million that are black. And so I then multiplied that by the number of males. Hold on, I'm trying to remember how I did this. Number of males in this country that are white are 100 and that 98.45, with the number of blacks of 35.94. So we take the number of total crimes, multiply that by the male crime rate percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So the number of male crimes that are conducted in this country by whites is 158,400, where the number of male crimes or black are 123,100. Those numbers are rounded. I actually rounded up for white and down for black.
So let me step by step here. So we have you took the total population according to Grok. You separated it by male and females first. Right?
Well, no, that is just showing what the population is.
Right. That you're showing the breakout between male and female population. Correct. Just by percentage. Then you also did the same thing between male and female for the violent crime rates. 78.9% of which is males, of course. You know what? With that right there, like, I really would like to see some equality happen in this violent crime rate. Like, where are the women at? They are clearly not representing.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man.
so,
Careful there.
Ladies,
that's a slippery slope.
Ladies, you know what? It's across the board, not just positions of power, teasing. And then you took the total population in million that's of males, and then you took the number of crimes at that same amount of time, took the factor of the male crime statistic, and then you got the per capita, the crime rate between the different groups. Per male.
Meaning that for every male in the United States, there's that percentage of chance that they are going to conduct a violent crime.
Now, is this 2 decimal places off? So would that be 0.063% chance, or would that be? Is this?
Well, it's not really. Sorry, I misspoke there. It's not a percent chance. That is per male. So for every violent crime done inside the United States, that's the number of males inside the United States. So essentially, it's trying to think the right way to describe this. It's just basically it's just a value given to the.
It's essentially saying, yeah, I get what you're trying to get out. It's essentially saying this is the. It's just how the numbers work out. To if a person was going to commit a crime, here's the likelihood it would be them, just based on a flat across the board.
Correct.
Right.
Yes, that's correct.
So the numbers that change here, because there's a 0.00063 versus a 0.00230. So 4 times as much. 4 times a higher rate, at least.
Well, technically, it's 3.654 times.
3.654. That's true. So it's a lot more, because it seems to be like there's a lot more crimes committed by a smaller number of African Americans, and then the number of crimes committed for the white male population is reduced due to the overall number. And this is where this is where people go into and manipulate or twist the numbers to say, oh well, like, yeah,
yes.
I want to get better
this is essentially per capita, the per capita argument, saying that they're disproportionate amount of crime being done by black males in this country, than whites. So there are more crimes that are done by whites in total, but if you factor it into the size of the population, it is significantly higher.
All right, so if that's the case, and we know that, I that seems to be a general understanding of how the numbers break out for me too. So I don't really have a whole lot to push back on that. You sent a post. This post is from Wall Street Apes on X. And it goes into, you go ahead and present this, because this was yours.
Okay, so I have to refresh, because this was like, I think Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read. I'll go ahead and read it, and then you can dig into it. So it says a groundbreaking study reveals racial bias in jury convictions. When we break down this study, we find that black juries have a 12% conviction rate against black defendants versus a 59% against whites. So that indicates there's a 47% interracial bias when you have black jurors. White jurors have a 33% conviction rate against white defendants versus a 26% against blacks, which actually demonstrates a negative 7% interracial bias, meaning whites are more likely to convict their co-racial group than they are to convict somebody across racial lines, whereas black juries have a 12% conviction rate against their own and a 59% conviction rate against white people.
Okay. Well, what that basically says is that racism in this country has completely inverted.
It has. I mean, this seems to be. This isn't like definitive proof, but this is definitely serves, I believe, as an example.
It's evidence.
Yeah, it's a piece of evidence to the larger pie. Yeah.
So you kind of have this. So you have a group of people who have a higher proclivity for violence just by statistics. Then you have another group who has a significantly lower, the lowest actually. I can't really say that, because the other that I had in there has all other races. But there are actually groups in there that kind of sway that number higher than other groups. If I were to break them out completely, you would have like Asians. People of Asian descent would actually have a significantly lower crime rate than anybody else. If you start bringing out Hispanics, that is one that is increasing that number. So that number is kind of skewed with the other. But the predominantly just speaking directly for the white versus the black.
Right.
It's the blacks have now, I don't like saying it that way. Those who are African American, can't even say African American descent because there's people in South America who are black.
Honestly,
So
like I'm kind of exhausted from it. It's just easier to have the conversation. If they want to get upset, like we're not intending to mean anything by it.
Yeah, I still have that my whole thing of be kind, and I'm trying to be as kind as I possibly can here. But it's even everything has its limit, including my.
But being
which I
kind
can
should not
state it,
limit
so.
us from having the conversation. And I don't.
I know, but
I also
it's
like deep down, I think we should be able to say any word without fear of any kind of meh. Like if I wanted to say words that are no words, I'm just saying if I want to say no words and people wanted to not hang out or not be my friend, that's the consequence for it. Not just to it gives it power. It gives all of this. It feeds the problem. Just because we can't say the word. No. I mean, I'm still gonna be sensitive about it, but I'm not gonna be oversensitive. I'm tired of being oversensitive, man. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah, sick and tired of being sick and tired. That being oversensitive is causing me to be sick and tired. Yeah, I get your point. But anyways, digressing back to this point, it's just in general though, it's a group of people are utilizing a situation for their benefit, and they have just overextended themselves at this point. And the fact that they are refusing to actually convict or hold those accountable within their same racial group appropriately is the reason why that we are having such a massive issue right now within this minority group. Because again, it's the whole self-policing thing. They are not holding themselves or those associated within their same racial group appropriately accountable.
I mean, that's happening all over, though. I mean, there's examples of murderers and people that have been to jail multiple times. And I mean, I'm talking upwards of 20 times, them walking out without bail. What the fuck do you think is going to happen?
Yes. Well, that's the thing is this is another problem that I cannot rectify in my own mind. And because I thought about this the other day, and let me gather my thoughts on this. Kind of taking a slight detour here and talking about intelligence. There are individuals who see themselves as super intelligent, but are actually on the left side of the bell curve.
That's me.
Then you have people who are on the right side of the bell curve, who are incapable of understanding how the people on the left side of the bell curve think. So it's kind of this weird dichotomy.
It's true.
Between people who are not intelligent but think they are intelligent versus people who are intelligent but are unable to understand the mentality of those who are less intelligent.
I don't think that's accurate. I think that the side that's intelligent can understand the other side. It doesn't make sense. It's like we understand why you're trying to make the arguments, but there's no actual foundation for the arguments to be made.
You basically said the same thing I did, just in a different manner.
Right.
I think we're saying the same thing.
I think that we are. I just wanted to make sure that we were.
Okay. Yeah. So it's just we're choosing different words to say the same thing. I think there. I guess yours would probably be a bit more descriptive than what I was saying. By maybe people who are more intelligent can understand
Okay,
their thinking, but
let me ask it this way.
it doesn't hold up to scrutiny.
Exactly.
And so
the idea doesn't hold
when
up, but you can understand it. They can't
yes,
understand where we come from or where the right comes from or where center, anything that disagrees with them, they can't understand it because I would believe they're theology based, but different conversation.
well, that it goes more into the typically. I mean, this is getting deep here. The people who are or individuals who are on the more left side of the curve have all of their reasoning is emotional reasoning versus the right to people on the right side of the bell curve typically have more logic based reasoning, and this is irrespective of sex, male or female. I mean, there is something to say that women are more emotional, men are more logical in general. But speaking directly to just straight intelligence, those who have the ability to analyze and process information think more logically versus those who just go by what they feel because what they feel is correct and so on and so forth. I think we're kind of just going off.
But if I feel it, I'm right. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring it back.
Yeah.
But I mean, the feeling kind of circles back into it. Goes back into that victim feeling, and I have had real experiences recently where there have been some there was a black person yelling at a female that appears to be white, but in fact she is black, and he was going off in a store publicly. I mean, he looked good, smelled good, had a gold chain, like very clean. Can
you pause the video? Sorry, it's distracting me.
Sorry. Just very, very clean, well-groomed person. And he was like attacking this girl who was a cashier over Trump for just out of nowhere, asking her like, "Oh, why does he do this? Like, all you white people." And I was just like, "Really?" Like that's like it was like the dude was openly being racist. And I guess
well, but that's the problem is they don't see that as racism. That's a reframing of an argument.
Hey, black people can't be racist. We know this. It's scientifically proven at this point.
Oh, Jude.
Right? See, let's go ahead and watch this clip, and then I want to dig into the last touch because I want to stay on it too.
Real quick, we kind of went from flag burning to racism here.
Oh, yeah.
So let's make sure we circle back around to the whole flag burning thing. But these do align and do tie together, and it does kind of encapsulate everything. So,
I think they encapsulate different problems. I think the flag burning one kind of encapsulates the illegal immigration problem. It's that kind of that cultural aspect of it. And I think like the crime in the city stuff is a different avenue. And I think the pitting, black versus white versus Asian, like anytime someone's trying to sell you on that shit, like they don't have your best interests at heart. At least I don't believe so.
Correct. No,
I believe that they're trying to lie to you.
But let's make sure we circle back around to the flag burning thing because there is still some points in there that need to be made.
Sure.
So, but let's go ahead since we're on this track, let's keep going.
I'll go ahead and just play it's a minute long video.
Have a 12% when we break.
I think he's just gonna end up saying what's in this.
Yes, it is.
So I'm not interested in listening to that. Before we go back to the flag burning one, since we'll wrap up this section with the Cracker Barrel controversy.
Oh yeah, the fact that they have supposedly, but not actually, walked back all of the DEI and brought back the old logo and whatnot. So
I've seen some interesting takes on this. People were like, "Oh, why did you change the logo? It's been there for so long." People have been like, "It's good to revamp the business and all of that." And we're not erasing the history, but if you're erasing literally the cracker and the barrel, you kind of are. And it's okay. I'm allowed to say cracker because I'm white. So, I mean, I'm clearly a white fox on the screen, and Brewer appears to be white as too. So, according to his pixel pigmentation,
I have a red beard.
Shh.
Then again, I do know a guy who's Turkish that has a redder beard than me. But anyways,
I'll just let you know that I have watched all of the South Park episodes with Cartman and red-haired people. So
Yeah, boy, that's fucking Trey Parker, whatever. But yeah, the whole Cracker Barrel thing. So, kind of just how this whole thing went down, and it always goes back to some white liberal woman who decides to become, who gets voted in somehow. I'm not going to say if it's any kind of DEI policy or she has a background or something like that that would be conducive for her to, take in that position. But yeah, the whole Cracker Barrel fiasco has just completely cratered. Well, it did crater, then it recovered. Now it's cratering again.
it cratered.
Not as hard,
It looks
though.
like it cratered on Monday, the 25th. And it looks like it suffered a rebound. I don't remember when they put the information back out, but
Well, one aspect that, since you brought up this stocks, is that this whole thing has just been a stock manipulation tactic.
I mean
However,
that would really be really good for insider trading if you know that a company or a brand is going to experience a huge downfall by investing DEI policies. You could play into that, sell all of your stock, and then buy all of it back at the crash, and then change it back. Like, yeah, that totally could have been it. Wow.
and people did that. That is an example right there of what happened. You don't sell a lot and then immediately come back or go back up within 2 days without there being some kind of insider knowledge.
Look at this line. Boom. Two days back up to where it was.
2 days. Correct.
Yeah, somebody sold high and bought low.
Yes.
That's almost like that's an $8 price difference. That's a lot of money. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and when you have like hundreds of thousands of shares. So I would not be surprised if you were to dig into some kind of mutual funds and other options that out there, that a lot of money was made, and now the managers of these funds are going to take a stipend from it because that's how all that works. And this made millions upon millions of dollars.
Bro, what if the whole DEI thing was intended for this? What if the whole thing was just a cover to manipulate stocks?
That is a conspiracy theory that I
Holy
have seen.
shit, no way. Okay, I need to see some more articles on that before I bite.
Manipulation.
I need to see some more stuff on that. That seems thin.
No, it's, when I say I've seen things, I've just seen other people talk about it. It's not like any kind of official articles or anything else.
No, you're going to be the old man sitting on the stone. I've seen things. Okay, so outside of the money aspect, where's I'm assuming I know your stance on that. How do you feel about, Cracker Barrel?
Well, the funny thing about it is that the day before all this happened, I went and ate at a Cracker Barrel for the first time in a decade.
I like chicken and dumplings. Yum.
I just wanted to have a burger, and since I live in a small town out in the middle of nowhere, there's not exactly a whole lot of places I can go to actually eat a restaurant burger. And I did go there, and I'll say that I was not impressed. It was overcooked. The fries were okay. I'll give it that. But I believe that the burger was microwaved. I believe that the bun was probably starting to go stale. They say they added a sear to it, but the sear didn't really feel genuine. Like, they didn't actually put it on there. They just threw it in a toaster. Like, they had a sear from the factory, and then they throw it in a toaster and make it look like it's seared. I mean, I'm just saying what I think happened. I'm not saying that as fact. So I wasn't impressed. I ate the burger. I ate all the fries. I ate the whole thing minus the tomatoes because I don't like tomatoes. But I wasn't impressed. The atmosphere in the place wasn't there either. This was pre-changeover or anything else, and the wait staff was fine. They didn't look like they were very happy, to be quite honest with you. I actually had to, because the way Cracker Barrel works, you go in, you get your food, and they give you your receipt, and you go to a cashier, kind of like you would in a Denny's or something like that, at the end. And there was no option to add a tip on anything. I had to tell the person, there's no tip. Where's the tip option? I was expecting that to come up.
Bro, it's an
didn't-
old
and-
story. You're supposed to leave the tip on the table.
Well, yeah, but I don't. I only had like 20s on me.
Leave
I
him a
don't
20.
carry cash. Yeah, dude, no. I'm not paying. I'm not giving 100% tip.
I mean, that's essentially
Um,
like an hour's worth of time for him, according to minimum wage laws. So,
So, well, I then had to tell him, you know what? It's like there was no tip. Like, where's the tip? I was expecting this. Like, I told the lady, I haven't been to Cracker Barrel in 10 years, so I don't know if this is unusual for me. So I had her, like, make sure I swiped my card again for a $5 tip because she did what she was supposed to. She refilled my drink appropriately. She did what she was supposed to do, and I always leave a minimum of a $5 tip regardless of the size of the ticket. But I ended up giving like a 25% tip, but. Anywho, then the next day, then it came out with, I don't know why I told that story. Anyways, it came out with everything going down and the DEI policies and everything else. It's just the fact that they are trying to use the term brutalize the brand. I'm using brutalization as in the brutalize type of architecture like you see in cities now. It's called brutalism, I think is the name of the style of architecture. I could be wrong on that. And it's just to block-like structures made from raw, exposed concrete, utilitarian aesthetic, and that is what the aesthetic that I saw with the brand. And they're trying to take away any kind of cultural significance with it,
yeah,
which is
they're
straight up
watering it
DEI.
down. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
like that. I don't like that. I mean,
it's
if you mix everything together, eventually you just get a pile of shit.
well, I'm begin to think of it from a different perspective here.
All right, I'll present
Um,
you an idea then. If it's so good to mix everything together, why don't you mix your key lime pie and a steak?
that's not a good way to argue this point because that's completely different types of food, completely different. I mean, God, I could go down a rabbit hole with that, but you're mixing an entree and a dessert. You're mixing sugar and meat. It's
Yeah, but it's
within the
food.
realm of food. Within the realm, okay. If you want to do an overarching umbrella like that, it's just saying food. You're correct, but I do not agree within the parameters of that conversation.
Okay, so you think that the architecture style for a brutalist architecture would not correspond to the same class definition of food. It would be more
Correct.
aligned to like Italian food.
Yeah, you would have to break it down into more. It's. I just don't think that's a good characterization of the argument.
No, that's fair. I was just using that as an example to get an image
Gotcha.
in my head of where you were. Okay.
Yeah, but basically the whole point of brutalization is to make everything extremely sleek, extremely like utilitarian aesthetic, lack of ornamentation. So
Function over
they were
form.
trying to, yes, function over form, which is ironically enough how I do everything in my life. The way I live is very utilitarian, very form over function, or sorry, function over form, and stuff like that. But anyways. It's just that, but I don't have that same mentality in literally everything in my life. And
Probably a good thing.
by using this like brutalization type practice, with the branding of an American cultural icon that is Cracker Barrel, I see it as the erasure of history, an erasure of
yeah,
an identity. Like I don't like
it's erasing
to
the
use
history.
going to
Yeah, no, what it is. It's erasing the history, and it's the same thing that you see anytime you wanted to see statues removed. Even if you don't like what the statue was supporting, it's supposed to serve as a historical reference point of whether it was good or bad or how you feel about it. It's to acknowledge that existed.
I don't like the way you framed that.
I definitely didn't.
The
frame
way
it well.
that the statue is supporting. That is not correct.
Sorry.
A statue or some kind of art piece like that is meant to represent a time or a place or an event for it to be remembered. That does not imply that we must remember that event in a positive light. It is that it needs to be remembered.
Right. That's what
So
I
it
guess.
is
I
not
guess I
repeated
didn't
type
say
of
that
thing.
well. Then that's exactly what I was trying to say. Like,
Okay.
it can be taken like let's just say the statue of Robert E. Lee. There's good and bad stories related to that. There's two perspectives on it, but does it have a right to exist? I think so, because it allows that conversation to be had. Versus
I agree.
just remove it and it'll make all of those stories go away. No, then what it'll do is it will remove a historical point that can be used as a point of conversation, and it removes it from the table so the grift can continue.
Well, a good example of why it is bad to try to erase or remove some of these statues or representations is, well, maybe an example, kind of like let's say it this way. An example of this erasing history is because then at that point it can be doctored. So I challenge everyone, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail in this because this is something that I think people need to discover for themselves. Take a history book from the 1980s. Take a history book from the 1990s, 2000, 2010, and then one that's recently published. Go back through and look at everything that was talked about for World War I and World War II. You will see dramatic differences and contradictions in the way the information is being presented.
And
history is literally being rewritten right now.
Yep. And that happens
And-
because definitions of words gets changed and no one does anything about it. That's why
that's part of it.
well,
but-
that leads into another point. But I want to circle back to move on to the next topic. I want to circle back on the flag burning. What did you want to wrap up with that?
Well, it's not really tied like to wrap up or anything else. It was just we kind of went down one path, which is valid, but it's just more of talking about the legality of the flag burning itself, which is kind of the crux of this episode is supposed to be. So kind of,
I don't have an issue with someone getting arrested if they show up to a protest as they're allowed to do for the First Amendment, public square. But whenever you start destroying things, or I guess destroying public property, or you're destroying the flag, that's no longer a peaceful demonstration. If it was like a peaceful flag burning, I don't really think that I've seen too many of those outside of an actual veterans affair. But I don't particularly have an issue.
Restate what you're trying to say there, because I think you may have misspoke.
I probably did. I misspoke.
Yeah.
I misspeak all the time. So I think that it's important for people to have the freedom to express themselves, even if it's something that I don't agree with. I don't particularly agree with setting the flag on fire for any purpose, but I can acknowledge that someone should have the freedom to do so. I do not, however, agree with it being acceptable, or whenever they're clearly organized in a group and there's been repeat examples of aggression or hostilities from that particular viewpoint or that side or that narrative that's wanting to overtake. If that's the message that they're wanting to send, I view that as a threat, because it's an organized group of people and you're burning a symbol, and either the flag means nothing or the flag means, freedom, liberty, pursuit of happiness. What does the flag mean to you, I guess, is where that comes. And if you're willing to, you're burning the thing that is the representation of what made this country great to begin with.
Yeah, of course, you have the opposite side of the coin where people don't think the country is great, and it never has been.
Well,
so there's
okay.
that perspective.
Oh no. I'm sorry, bro. Like I can't sit with that one anymore, because those people, I could probably pull up a video right now, oh, hey, like we'll let you go anywhere you want. We'll pay for your ticket. We'll move you out there, but you can't come back.
Mm-hmm.
No, well,
Yeah.
we'd like to stay here because this is the worst country in the world, but we still want to be here. We don't want to go anywhere else. I'm sorry. You're a fucking fraud.
It's a straight up contradiction, and
No.
it's or a reframing of an argument that is completely disingenuous. They know it's completely disingenuous, but they don't care because it's Orange Man bad. It's ultimately
Unpopular
what it is.
opinion. We used to have insane asylums. Just saying.
Well, yeah, and we also used to have a lot more serial killers, but now we just have mass shootings. So it's kind of along the same.
Isn't that the same thing? They're just doing it in a shorter amount of time. But it's all tied to one specific direction. Like, it's insane that it's gone this far. But I mean, I guess not. It'll get worse before it gets better. So, man, we are cooking. All right.
But okay, I'll need to say my side.
Yeah,
That's not really my side, so to speak, but my 2 cents about it. So, I am 100% for freedom of expression, but not free from the consequences of any expression. So, if and keep in mind, I am speaking from the reference of the government when I say consequences. So the government cannot, under any circumstance, stop an individual, in my opinion, from expressing themselves in a manner at which they choose to express. However, if there is a situation occurs because of that expression that does violate the law, then at that point it is no longer considered free speech or free expression.
It sounds like the prerequisite that you're setting up is they would have to burn the flag, and then that would have to turn into a larger altercation for it to become something. So you're saying the act itself doesn't count. Okay.
Yeah. Say that again.
It sounds like you're saying that them just burning it by itself is not enough to constitute where you think that the do something about it. The find out phase begins. They're doing the fuck around phase, but the find out phase doesn't begin right then. You wait for that situation to develop or some actual harm to occur.
I don't like the way that's framed.
Yeah, we're dealing with a hypothetical scenario, so setting some boundaries is all I'm trying to do, so I can understand.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the boundaries to set within the framework I'm trying to say here. So let's just go with examples first. You go out on your property, on your front porch or in your yard, you light a flag on fire. Fine. It's on your property. It is your property that you are burning. I have no problem with that. I don't agree with you doing it.
Okay.
But I do understand that you have the right to do that. You take it out into a public place where there are other people around and you light a flag on fire. We now must begin a checklist to see what if that is protected speech or not.
Okay, so I'm gonna drill into that right there.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's the public sidewalk next to your yard where you own?
Okay. But again, there's a checklist, and I can't just there's too broad there's just too many situations that could involve that some would go into free speech while others would deviate from that.
Now, I'm assuming local laws would end up having some play there too.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it this way. In the place that I live, we're not really allowed to burn wood unless it's for recreational use.
Because you'll catch the whole state on fire.
Possibly. But it's I still can't wrap my mind around this, as I've actually sat down and talked with the fire chief for my town about this. And he said that if you are burning wood to dispose of it, because you don't want to take it to the dump or wherever,
right?
And you were just burning to dispose of it, then that is against the law, unless you have a permit, and which you, depending on the size, you may have to have a firefighter on hand to observe.
I think that's crazy.
Well, there are reasons for that. I mean, I live in the Midwest. I can just say that, give or take.
It's awfully dry.
Not this summer, but it's more of farms, because a lot of farmers will burn their fields once they have completed their harvest, because it reintroduces nutrients back into the soil, as well as like sulfur, and because the ash and everything else, and the specific type of plants that require a higher sulfur content into the soil for it to produce appropriately. And the best way to do that is just to, burn off the actual plant after the fruit, whatever that fruit may be, is harvested. So the laws around this area stipulate that in order for you to do that, you have to, 1, get a permit, and 2, have a firefighter on standby to help control the fire. There are certain individuals who have certain licenses or certain other permits that they can do it without a firefighter, because they are appropriately credentialed to do it, whatever that means. I'm trying to be vague here for various reasons. However, if you were to have a burn barrel in your backyard, loaded up with wood, light it on fire, and you're just standing over it, throwing stuff into it to dispose of it, that is against the law in my state.
You can't have
as well as city ordinance.
Burn barrel to have a campfire.
That's where the law diverges. If it is for recreational use, you are allowed to do it, as long as it's not a burn ban.
I mean, that makes sense just because the time of year and water. I mean, that's fine. That's a safety thing.
Well, it's the exact same thing. It's just it's literally, I'm claiming that I'm doing this for the...
Yeah, it's your intention behind it. Because there's no way that they could say, oh, well, I'm just sitting here with the campfire throwing these little sticks that I need to do on it, roasting some marshmallows. This is recreational.
Yes. But I do have to make the caveat. It's with wood. You can't start a fire burning documents and paper and then say it's for recreational use. That specifically states that within the law.
Well,
but if you felled a few trees or trimmed your trees and you have a bunch of tree limbs and you want to burn those to dispose of them, you can say it's for recreational use, even though it's really not.
I'm assuming the scale goes in, but there seems to be quite a bit of nuance in that little category. Because
yes,
I'm allowed to have a fire where I'm at as long as I have an actual kind of, you can have a barrel, you can have rocks or concrete, but it's got to be so far away from structures and stuff.
Yeah, that's standard ordinances.
Yeah.
It's just there's different places for different things. But so trying to use that within the context of flag burning, and using your example of sitting on the sidewalk and lighting it on fire, that would violate the local laws. So that would not be considered protected speech.
Yeah.
Because
they would say this isn't a recreational flag burning environment.
Yeah, I mean, but by the definitions and everything that is outlined in the ordinances and the laws for the city, state, and beyond, is that you can only burn on your property for recreational purposes, and you can't argue that burning a flag is for recreational purposes, because it is not wood. So, because you're not allowed to burn not like plastic or clothes or paper or anything else like that. So even if you were to burn on your own property, it could still be cited by the city and the state, depending on where you are.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For illegal burning. So now we have to get into what trumps free speech and free expression versus, local laws. And there is
well, the federal would oversee it. If it was a truly First Amendment protected activity, the local laws wouldn't do shit.
You're not wrong. The problem is that it depends on how you define the situation.
Well, and that's going to come down to
And
each category. There's too many variables to follow up on that.
yeah, it's that, and that's kind of, and that isn't kind of, that is my point. And the point of this executive order is to basically utilize or exploit, might be a more accurate term, the current laws to prevent people from burning the flag. This executive order basically tells the Department of Justice to utilize any law that could possibly be used in order to indict or punish or, lock up anyone who is burning the flag.
Well, it's foreign national.
Okay, you're misrepresenting that entire section there.
I am? Okay.
That section is specifically stating that that you could lose your visa status
Okay,
or
that's
your
not
status
necessarily
within the
related to it.
country.
Okay, that's a different section
The
of
foreign
it.
nationals.
I see what you're saying
Yeah.
now. Okay. I'm
So
kind of burned out on the flag topic, not gonna lie.
But okay, I know you're trying to do there. But I mean, I guess the biggest point that I am trying to make here is that, well, there's more points I want to make still.
Okay.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is, now you've kind of derailed me a few times here.
I guess I'm not sure
Essentially-
the point that you're trying to make to wrap it up.
Yeah, I've been trying to get to that. Diverging away from personal burning on your property, but the whole point of that whole previous conversation was to say that there are laws that are in place that can be used to as an excuse to be charged under, rather than it being, directly related to any kind of pre-expression event. It's just more of, there are ways that you can still be tried and be, fined or whatever.
Right.
But as long as it doesn't directly say that you are being tried because you are doing a free expression activity.
I see what you're saying. You're saying that if it's a constitution, shit. Okay. Yeah.
So, but now with that in mind, we take it over to the public protests, such as burning the flags on the LA freeway.
Right.
So, essentially, what this executive order is supposed to do is to mandate the Department of Justice to have a minimum of a year prison sentence for someone conducting any kind of illegal activity that involves a flag. So if someone does something, they're burning the flag, and whatever illegal or unlawful act they do has, let's say, between 6 months to 4 years in prison. The minimum now is not 6 months, it is now 1 year. Because they burned a flag.
But that also requires a judge to prosecute.
Correct. But the whole point of the Department of Justice, in the way that Trump intends this to be done, is that is what the Department of Justice will pursue. You are completely correct that the judge is the one who has the final say on the actual sentencing. But
that'll be an opportunity to see which judges are actually ideological instead of following the law.
Yeah,
interpreting the law.
Yeah, I guess that is a tertiary benefit, quote unquote benefit.
Yeah.
But the whole point of this is that it is not making it illegal to burn a flag. It is setting a minimum time in prison for any unlawful act that may include burning a flag. And if a flag is being burned during this unlawful event, the new minimum is now 1 year. That's the whole point of this executive order.
It seems far less extreme than what was presented to me on social media.
Exactly, because it is the left trying to frame it in such a way. They completely reframed the argument, completely misconstrued the entire argument for their echo chamber. for their benefit.
I guess my
to
question
manipulate.
is their position that weak that they have to do that?
Yes.
That's really sad. Funny, but sad.
So that is the whole point of what I was trying to say before.
Okay.
Because there are minimums to, be going to prison. And now the new minimum is 1 year if it involves a burning of a flag. As that is being pursued by the Department of Justice, like you said, the judge will have the final say.
Yeah.
The judge can say, no, I'm still only giving 6 months. Or no, you're getting probation. But now instead of probation, instead of all this other stuff, the Department of Justice will pursue the 1 year. And usually the way that it works, at least to the best of my knowledge, how you get reduced sentences is because the prosecutor is the one that requests it. So now the prosecutor will be only, if it involves burning a flag, a minimum of 1 year.
Yeah, I think we'll start to see a lot more convictions, or the stuff will stop completely, just because it looks like all of the dark money sources are at least being addressed in the overall narrative. But
Yeah.
I want to shift away from kind of the ideological, the larger stuff. I want to focus on something that I've been following this person for a little while. So let's go ahead and kick this off into the next segment. I found this person, it's Louis Rossmann, and I wanted to premise it with a question. And this is for everyone to think about. And this is, you can change the parameters, but we just use this for the purpose. Does a company that makes security monitoring equipment have any business use or benefit gained for solving crime? So my question is essentially saying is, if there is a company that is selling a product to reduce crime, do they have motivation to actually stop crime? What do you think?
Nope.
Why?
Nope. Because it kind of goes to the same way. Let me frame the same question, but in a different subject. Why is there no cure for cancer?
Because there's too much money to be made off it.
Correct. It's the exact same reason. It always goes back to the money. If they have all these systems in place and they work, they basically become no longer useful. I mean, the argument is there that as long as they are there, the crime will be down. But at the same time, typically once crime has been greatly reduced and the source of that crime is eliminated one way or another by prison or other means.
I wonder if
then
those tools would be used to scope creep into finding the next set of criminals or the next people who say the wrong thing or go.
Yeah,
if you're not free to travel somewhere without no one knowing where you went, you're not free.
Yeah, that was the second part I was going to bring up, but it's just
I'm
more
sorry.
anything else. One, it's money. It's just as long as there's crime, they will make money. And two, the other side of the coin is they can then utilize that information. They can sell that information to whoever wants to buy it.
Yeah.
It does not need to be the government. It could be individuals. It can be corporations. I mean, it could be other governments could possibly buy it through, shell companies and whatnot. It's just a massive, massive can of worms.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what kind of is being presented here is the consumer rights being completely unbalanced and unfair. And I truly believe that whichever political party gets off their ass and makes this a priority will see progress in their party. Like this consumer rights stuff, if like the Democrat Party jumped on top of it and started fighting for that, they'd actually have something to bite on. But this is something that's going to be huge, and this will become a major. This is going to turn pretty much every tech person into a voting bloc, and I think it's intentional. But what Louis Rossmann is he got some right to repair laws passed, and it all started recently with a video that It was, hey, change your profile pic to a Clippy. And what he's trying to do is actually get people to organize, and he has a wiki for all of these consumer right conversations, and examples that happen. And there was a bounty that he put out, a $20,000 bounty, and he came out with a video for it yesterday, I believe, of one of the it's like standalone like exercise bikes, the Peloton bikes or whatever. I don't know if it's Peloton, but an exercise bike like that. And there was an app that was using, or that it used, and they pushed out a firmware update to the app, and it stopped third-party apps from being allowed to be used. And if you were to repair, and this goes into the words that you choose, because the connotation of hacking has a generally negative sense if you don't know what it actually is. So if you hack/repair your own device, you're essentially breaking the law for something that you've already bought and paid for, and all they've done was remove the functionality for it. So it's starting to look at how the world is, and I really like his particular takes on things. He seems like an exceptionally honest person. But he covers.
I agree.
There's two different people that he kind of interviewed, and what happened here was in Austin, Texas, they were going to roll out they were going to vote on an agenda item. I think it was agenda 33 or item 33, and it was about the Flock 3000 or Flock 30,000 license plate readers. And it's like these big things that, let me see if I can actually get this. Images, Flock 3000. Yeah, it's these devices. They could be, it's AI powered devices that they're marketed or sold to the public or to, local politicians as, oh, these are just license plate readers, when in fact they can record the driving patterns, make, model of vehicle, color, like it can record everything. So you're being surveilled at all times by AI. And not to mention, it's not even the police that have control of this information. This information is going to be going to a third party who can sell your information. So I want to get into the videos. I want to play the first one. Oh yeah, sorry. I wanted to follow up, but essentially there was a bunch of items to be voted on or talked about, and one of them was this item 33 for this Flock 3000 system in Austin. And he asked everyone that was local that could show up to sign up to do it, and hundreds of people signed up to go to this Austin meeting in the middle of the day on a weekday. I think it's like 10 or something in the morning. It was a really inconvenient time. Essentially, if you're going to go to this place, you're either going to take off work or you're going to, sacrifice. You're going to be spending some time and money to go do this. And then the Austin City Council may or may not have, well, they definitely canceled it with like about a day's notice. So people had already spent time and money and changed their plans to do this. And then they removed only that item from what they wanted to talk about. So people still showed up, and I want to give these people credit. This is fucking awesome. This is community. This, like, every single person that showed up to do this is completely welcome in my home. That's just how I stand on that. They still showed up. Even though the city said, fuck you, we're not going to talk to you, they still showed up anyways. But I want to actually have you guys hear some of the perspectives of these people. It's good. It's good. And I think a lot of this is we just need to keep going. This is exactly what needs to happen. And if this gets traction, this could change everything in the good, for the good. At least it seems like that's something that has the potential for real change. And that's exciting. But I'm going to play the first one and then I'll switch to the other one after.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, this is the man who emailed me not once, twice, 4 times. And eventually I finally read it and learned all about these cameras. You inspired me to write this article and notice it. I've seen the word flock, but I just never looked into it as much as I should have. So thank you for informing me when I was ignorant. I appreciate it. I wouldn't have done this without you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what made you want to come out here today, and what made you want to email me the first time you emailed me?
I didn't feel like I really had anything else that I could do that was reasonable. You seem like the type of person that can handle this best. And this, I think this demonstration has proved that. This has been very civil, and it's been, you've had people driving by honking horns all day, and a lot of viewership, and I don't know, you were just the first person that I thought of when I noticed these cameras going up.
Thank you. So when did you first find out about them, and what was the thing that sent you over the edge of saying, no, I'm drawing my line here?
Because I consider it a national security issue. I think you have local officials who don't really understand the ramifications of what they're doing. And they're approving this equipment to be installed in many US cities. And because this data is being aggregated together and it's in the control of one private company, you have one private company that effectively operates and controls a surveillance network that spans the entire continental United States. To me, I think that's a national security problem. I can't verify that that company is totally American, or that there aren't foreign actors in that company, or their intent, or whether or not they're controlling their encryption keys properly. I don't know what their security looks like. And I think that if you had a foreign actor, they would be able to absolutely come into that company and co-opt it.
You know, it's interesting. Everything you've said makes complete sense. However, my concern is with what Ben Jordan was showing in one of his videos. I'm paraphrasing. I probably got a little bit wrong, but he was saying the Wi-Fi password to these cameras was either could be cracked within minutes, or it was like 1, 2, 3, 4. So forget about the foreign actors or who owns the company. If the password to one camera is 1, 2, 3, 4, and getting access to that one allows you access to the rest of it, it's kind of like the meme of your local municipality, like a small town somewhere in like North New Hampshire, and the copyright date on the website is like 2004, and the WordPress hasn't been updated since 2007, and like you install, who's going to maintain all of that infrastructure? Are they going to do it properly? And the best way to deal with that is to not install the ability to do that in the first place if it's not actually benefiting your citizens. So there's a lot of risk, and I would take on the risk if it was worth it, but but this doesn't make sense.
No, there may be organizations that have the ability to track people to this degree, but you're providing it to local police, and I think that's extremely contentious for a lot of reasons. There is no oversight. I think it is a violation of the Fourth Amendment, but certainly that can be argued all day. Just setting the precedent of saying, okay, you can go install all these cameras all over the place that have solar panels, means that that's what the people expect. Who is to stop somebody from going and setting up more cameras that look very similar? There's a lot of different ways that this could fail security.
You know, I didn't think of that, because one of the things that the company said is Livewire Technologies, that we want to make them big and imposing because people will behave differently when they know that they're being surveilled. So they want you to be used to the idea of that being there. So if I become used to it, like, one of my old employees who had he did a little experiment when I was picking up a desk at Home Depot. He had like all this construction stuff. He had a vest, and he's very official looking. Like, he had his clipboard and everything. He had a clipboard, the hat, and so in the middle of Midtown Manhattan, on 23rd Street and 6th Avenue, he was able to create what essentially looked like a construction zone, so that I could get a desk and put it in the car without having to deal with like miserable crap from Home Depot. And what I found funny about that is everybody just accepted it. Nobody asked, do you have a permit to be here? Nobody asked, why are you blocking traffic in one of the most busy intersections of the country for this? Because they just expect it. When I see somebody with that hat and a clipboard and
that's the appeal to authority, right? Did you ever see I think it was a video or something. It was how to get in anywhere with a ladder.
Yeah, I saw that. They got into movie theaters and a museum and stuff like that. I'm familiar with what you're talking about. Yeah,
but I mean, I believe the point that they're making here is, oh well, if you just put all these things up, what's to stop somebody from putting up something that looks like one, and is actually not attached to the network at all, or is doing something else, or they, get into one of the devices and then branch all the way into having access to all of them. Like that's, I'm sorry, I don't
Well,
want that. I don't want that
no.
as part of this world. I have no interest in having that as part of this world.
Well, there's multiple different paths that we could take down in discussion about with everything he just said. Both of them just said. And kind of, if you want to, I guess, fairly quickly tackle them one at a time here. And you're talking about a national security risk and the fact that these cameras are scattered throughout the country, and the fact that they are been misrepresented as only license plate readers when we actually take a look at what the capabilities of these systems are, like in everything you just described. And the fact that they're using artificial intelligence to identify certain vehicles and whatnot, because one thing that I kind of wanted to harp on a bit here is the AI has the ability to take a video and look at the car and see the scratches, the dings, the roof rack, like all these other identifying features, and be able to track down and follow a specific vehicle with ease based upon those imperfections. So every vehicle, in a sense, has its own little individual fingerprint.
But it's being marketed to you as, oh, it's just a license plate reader. That's all that it does.
That's correct. So that is obfuscating the actual intent here.
And if anyone would like to clarify or confirm any of this, you can go to the Flock website himself and going and watching some of the Louis Rossmann's videos. Yeah. He actually shows you and goes in detail exactly what they present.
Yeah, and it's the problem is the national security. I think is the biggest issue, because the fact that it has all these capabilities that they are not even advertising to these, or at least the city legislator is presenting it in this manner. It's a stepping stone. Yeah. It's one of those boil the frog situations.
Yeah.
So as you have it for this specific reason, oh yeah, by the way, it also does all this stuff, and we can now start to track you, and it just starts to connect dots into even larger conspiracies.
They're not conspiracies anymore. This shit's fucking real. I don't care.
Well, what I'm saying is it's connecting to larger other conspiracies that a lot of people don't readily think about.
Digital
so
ID,
you have these cameras.
Social credit score. If you implement this on a global scale with a digital ID and a social credit score, you control the digital framework of the world.
Yeah, and through that you control people.
Yeah.
I mean that's probably the overarching one. But there are the 15-minute cities that kind of fall into the same category you were just talking about. So it's getting to a point where they being probably, I'm just going to say, the World Economic Forum and their cronies trying to create the one world government or whatever, are trying to set up all these systems now to begin moving toward those 15-minute cities so that they can begin to control the population to a very, very fine fidelity.
Well, I think that they're part of they're the main influence of pushing culture in that direction. That's why we've seen a bunch of this crazy shit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of it's all these small little pieces that people are.
I mean, we have proof in the pudding in 2 tabs. So
yeah, but I guess what I'm just trying to say is that this is nothing more than a drop in the bucket compared to everything else that's being added to that same bucket. And that bucket is starting to fill up. I mean, we can even, if you think about it too, the push for the censorship at the same time, all this technology, like with these cameras, are now being rolled out across the world. And
that's why showing up, and I mean, honestly, getting engaged in this is a really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Getting engaged with local officials, because I don't know if this shit's in my city. I bet you I'm gonna find out this week. And I bet you I'm gonna find out what they actually have. Maybe I need to actually start going to some city meetings.
Yeah, well, I went to my local one multiple times to get changes made, and I was able to get some changes made. So I mean, it works. It does happen. It can work. It takes a certain number of people to actually show up and hold these people accountable.
And they will do everything in their power to stop you if it's against their interest.
Yep.
Because you will also have lobbyists against you. You will have people attack you online, say that you're stupid or mean. It doesn't matter. I think that this is a fight that we simply cannot lose. I think
Yep.
that if we lose the fights that are going on right now, there won't be a path to recovery.
Yep. And one way you can kind of trap a lot of these city council members is to get up and raise the question of what is your relationship with these manufacturers? Do you have any family that is associated with them?
Do you own
Do you
any
have
stock?
any close personal friends? Do you own any stock? You have, like, you start asking these questions,
Yep.
and they refuse to answer them. You have public record because every single one of these meetings has to be recorded. There are certain laws in every state.
Yep.
That
It gets them on the
follow-
record of lying or not.
Correct.
So that'd be used in court eventually.
Well, that's the point, and that's how you basically convince them and let them know is like, you do something stupid, we're going to find out. And since you've refused to answer this question, there is now evidence that you did this with malintent. That's the whole point, and that's how I got a few things done in my town.
Do you think that there's people suited for local or state government that just aren't confident, but they definitely have the passion and the heart to do it, and they just don't?
Well, yes, I would count myself as one of them.
What would you say to people that feel that way?
That's a loaded question. And the problem is it becomes and this is how a lot of unchecked power occurs. It's the blowback. Can you survive the blowback? And depending on the size and the influence of the individuals on the city councils, that can make your life hell.
Yep.
The difference with me is when I went and confronted the city council, specifically a specific city council member, on something, I'm not going to go dive in too deep into it, is that I did copious amounts of research. I went and did my own investigation, and I got recordings as well as testimonies. And so I had everything a city or the county prosecutor would need to go after this individual on the city council. And I presented that evidence, saying I had this evidence.
All right.
And by me doing that, showed members of the community that this was something that was occurring, and members of the community actually took my speech that I gave and sent it and basically posted it to the town Facebook. Again, I live in a small town, so basically everyone who's in and around the town has this on this Facebook, and it was seen tens of thousands of times in a town of like 2,200 people. So that created a chain reaction where other people began to keep an eye on him and dig into him as well. And eventually, through various other events, he ended up resigning, like in I can only call hysterical way, because he basically turned into a toddler and started throwing a fit, and then he resigned.
That sounds about right.
There are ways to hold members of city councils accountable, even if the city council or the citizens of the city, or including the council itself, view them as some kind of power and they're untouchable. You have to frame the argument in such a way that will cause other people to understand the argument, first of all, and two, motivate them to begin pursuing that individual as well. And it's just the event that was happening in my town involved something that is very close and dear to this town. So I was able to frame it in such a way that it inspired a large number of people to basically start asking a lot of questions. And I was a thorn in the side of the city council for a while. Specifically, that member, I actually, because of that event, I became very respected in this town. I'd only been in the town for like a year at this point. And it's like to the point now where the mayor supposedly is afraid when I walk in the door.
Ooh. Okay, so
yeah.
what would you like to say to people that feel like they want to take that first step, but they're afraid to?
Oh, man. The first step is always the hardest. And you have to come to terms with the fact that it may not work and you may get blowback. But if you do nothing and something bad happens because of your inaction, are you going to feel worse? Or is your life going to be worse than the blowback that would occur? Because the difference is that whenever you do go in and make a public statement to a governing body, where by law they have to have recording of what occurred, so it is on the record. So I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. So in essence, you really do have protections is when you go in and say something like that, because if you do receive some kind of retaliation, you have evidence that it was a direct result of something that you said. But you need to make sure you don't tell anybody you're doing it and just show up and do it. So that there are no ways for the city council to prevent it from occurring.
Kind of like Austin.
And so exactly. Like I was going to say, Lewis here, he did the right thing in order to get people to show up. But if he was able to come somehow through this individual you see on screen here to get a large group of people to show up without letting the city council know about it, you basically have pushed them into a corner. And that is what I did. Because a second event that occurred in my small town, I then went to 5, 6, 7 people and told them, get everyone you know to show up to this meeting and say something. And that was enough to push the guy over the line.
And I think we just touched on that too. You don't have to be an asshole. You don't have to call and scream in them and demean them. You do it through being normal and professional and engaging with the idea. And if someone wants to act out and be crazy, let them look a fool.
And that is exactly what happened with him, with the guy I'm talking about.
Yeah, they want to defeat you, and they'll play every game in the book. Because he was even hopeful, and I feel bad for Lewis because he's like, oh, I'm hopeful everything's gonna go good, and then the next day they canceled it. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to show one more person, just to show, same clip, just a different timestamp, and this person drove from, I think he said Dallas to Austin.
I think he said Houston.
Houston,
I believe.
He traveled. He traveled hours to get there. But yeah, let's go ahead and watch this real quick. So on the screen, he made a sign to bring with him because this turned into a small protest. It says, "It seems you've forgotten about 86R HB 1631. Would you like a reminder?"
All right. It seems you've forgotten 86R HB 1631. Would you like a reminder? Now, can you explain what that's for?
So in 2019, the Texas state government signed into law a law that prohibits the use of automated red light cameras in intersections.
Does automated red light cameras in intersections apply to license plate readers that are not at intersections?
Arguably yes, but arguably no as well.
If it's written to specify intersections, there's a legal loophole there, I think. All right.
Yes.
It passed in the Senate and the House 3-1. So, no, Texans have already spoken. We do not want automated surveillance systems in our public spaces.
Why do you think they're trying to do it again?
Because they think they can get away with it. They got away with it in Houston. That's why I drove all the way out here.
You're from Houston?
Yeah.
That's a long drive.
It was. And it cost me a hotel room. I was en route when they said, no, you don't get to speak.
That's bull.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming out.
No problem.
So I wanted to just acknowledge this person put his time, his money, and he's passionate enough to show up even with a sign. And he seems a little socially awkward, but honestly, I'd be kind of terrified standing next to Lewis and having this conversation. I mean, I look weird anyways. But this guy, Houston to, what's the distance from Houston to Dallas? Houston to Austin? Houston to Austin. That's a 2.5 hour drive. He drove 2.5 hours, got himself a hotel for the Austin City Council to cancel it. So even though he's not really a resident of that city, he was passionate enough to show up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a person like this, his heart's in the right place, and he seems like he's been trying to dig into that. I like this person just because he showed up. I would love to see more of that, a lot more of that.
Yeah.
I would love to see all of the bleachers back there full. I would like to see every single town committee room full. But we're not there yet.
Yeah, there is a distinct possibility, and I will have to give it a fairly decent probability of it occurring, of actually having more people showing up into more local governance as more and more stuff begins to come to light like this.
Exactly. It needs to start at the city level, and then
Exactly.
I think that has to be used, and that will rebuild the community that's been destroyed. Because my city, there's no community anymore. My city is just people driving around to different locations. There's no sense of community.
Yeah, the only problem is that I don't still give it a very high probability, is because a lot of the people just, and unless you happen to come across this or watch this guy already, you're not going to be really made aware of it, because this kind of information is just omitted from the public discourse.
Right. Which is why I want to take a second. And if you're listening to this, share this information with another person. How do you feel about AI being used to surveil you everywhere that you go? If you don't like it, get involved. This is your chance. This is us bringing an idea that affects the real world, that really will affect your future and your kids' future. And if you don't have kids, other kids' futures. This actually matters. And it's only going to get bigger if we actually take the time to talk to our friends and our neighbors and our family and get engaged, because we can't rely on the algorithm to do it for us. We can't rely on other people, but we can help by engaging in the conversations and the ideas. And I believe that Lewis presents the ways in such a good fashion. It can be effective.
Yep. And I do have a kind of an anecdotal example that I can share a bit of how this does work. Of course, I live in the Midwest, and solar power out here has been, not solar power, wind power, the wind turbines. There's been a company out of Texas that has been trying to go through this area and buy up, or I should say lease, farmland to build those giant monstrosities, the giant wind turbines out in the fields.
You know, I heard those don't actually work. I heard they're super inefficient. Let's do an entire episode on that.
Yeah, but I guess specifically for this, what I'm trying to say here is that there was an initiative that was brought up within my county and the surrounding counties. Well, not surrounding counties. It was the county that I live in and one of the neighboring counties, where we basically just said, no, we don't want to do this for the various reasons. And one of the reasons why it probably didn't take off is because of research that I have done in the past about it. And I guess as a real quick side thing for it, like the way that these windmills are built is they basically take a 300 foot by 300 foot square, or 300 foot by 300 foot area, dig down like 12, 15 feet and fill it up with concrete to anchor these massive structures.
Right.
And in doing that, it completely, destroys any kind of capability to use that farmland in the future. But in doing that, they have to dig into the bedrock. And basically, it turns all of these solar or these wind turbines into giant tuning forks, because as the wind hits it, it will vibrate the tower, and all these vibrations go out in a circular pattern around the base of these wind towers. And as the vibration waves collide with one another in the bedrock, it actually creates fissures in the bedrock. And in doing this, it creates over time, it will cause earthquakes, and as well as the destabilization of the foundations in the homes in this area. So when I told that to the presenter of the information, like who was the lead going against it, they ran with it, and it basically stopped the wind turbines from being put up because everybody began to learn about it. Yeah, it says there's no scientific evidence, right?
Wind turbines do not cause...
I didn't say large scale. I said fissures. There's a difference. And what is happening is that...
the context got changed.
Exactly.
It's the micro that's the problem. The micro turns it into sand.
It destabilizes the entire region.
But they can't contribute to soil changes and minor ground vibrations. That'll kill crops. That'll stop roots from forming properly.
Like, that is, I will put my foot down as unequivocally false. The vibrations, when they interact, it will cause the fissures. They do expand over time, and you're talking 10 to 15 years. There's already houses in my town that are seeing effects from, in my opinion, the wind turbines that are a good 30, 40 miles down the road, because there are some that are nearby. And the difference is, like, there's like two major types of wind turbines. One is like 200 feet or 250 feet tall. Another one's like 450 feet tall. They were trying to get the 450 feet tall to surround my town. And I'm not even going to go into the economic impact that has to occur for these things to even become profitable. So
no, I'd like to pull some science together and actually cover like a climate section for one particular day.
Yeah, we could possibly do that.
That's a good addition.
But anyways, that's just an anecdotal example of how you can figure out ways or figure out pieces of information that is counter to a narrative and exploit that to ensure that a change does not occur that would negatively impact you.
Well,
there
I
are
don't
ways
even know
to do
exploiting it is the right word. That sounds like the intention is incorrect.
Yeah,
circumvent maybe
the negative connotation on the word. I can see what you mean by that, but it is still exploiting a narrative.
It's exploiting a weakness in
facts.
the narrative. It's exploiting weakness
Correct.
in the story. Okay, that I can understand that. But it
anyways,
sounds like with your experience that you've given, change can occur. So if I was to put words in your mouth, and I'm going to right now, don't be afraid just to start doing something. We don't know whether what we're saying now is ever going to be picked up and affect greater change, but we're here trying, and it's a start. And one person can hear it and they can believe, and then another person can hear it and they can believe. So don't be afraid. You're not alone. We got you. And I think there's a lot more people in the world that are still sitting back quietly waiting. Like, the whole quiet majority is a very real thing in the US. And I think there's a lot more people that would support and reach out. But on that particular topic, let's go ahead and tie back into, I think I'm going to cut off the last topic, but I'm going to go ahead and end with the next one to circle back to where we were. We mentioned the World Economic Forum. And this is a GamesCon came out, and GamesCon became political, or at least one of the devs decided to get political, and there was a game that was supposed to be portrayed, and I can go into a little bit of it. Chibi does a good job.
For sense on the
Yeah, and you're using Asmongold. That's
Yeah, I don't want to.
That's funny.
Well, I mean, it's just the one of the links. I've seen multiple videos. It was the first one that I grabbed that kind of just had the content. I don't need to pull too much of it, but this person made a video game about violating the law and breaking into the United States and going along the route of an illegal immigrant. And the entire time this developer was introducing their game, they were talking about all the reasons that it matters and the cultural significance, and they put like little black jars of little black bottles because they think that for artistic significance in the background whenever no one's going to see it. But they didn't even play the game demo, and I think this company was funded like almost directly, or it chained back to the World Economic Forum.
Yep.
And as soon as this got traction, as soon as Asmongold got traction to this, all of the posts got taken down.
Mm-hmm.
Game's down. This person's links account gone. We weren't supposed to find that. All of the stuff that we're like stumbling across right now, we weren't meant to find.
Nope.
And there's more. There's a lot more that we're not seeing. But this is an example. They don't want you to know this. They want to market the ideas in video games and like keep your fucking politics out of my games. Now I need to be careful exactly how I express that. Maybe that's not the best way, but if the main point of your game is just to
push a political narrative,
oh, you need to feel like this. The fuck I do. I can uninstall that, or I can just not pay attention to it. And this is going to go the same way, just like all of the other DEI movies and games. If you're playing that game right now, you're not into it. It's not going to happen. The gamers don't want it.
And that's kind of the crux. The thing about it is that this shows you how separated the individuals who are trying to push these narratives are from the actual communities of which they're trying to influence.
Yeah, the people pushing it live in freaking Lululand.
Yeah, you're trying to push something to gamers, people who have come out multiple times in the last year and a half alone, and basically gave the big middle finger to hundreds of millions of dollars invested in various games, and for them to crash and burn, but yet you're continuing to push it and continuing to try to stir in the rhetoric. Or like, are they just trying to do like a shotgun approach here and doing all this stuff and hopefully something sticks and they can use that as their leverage into the whole gaming community?
Probably.
Which is just not going to happen.
Well,
and it's just indicative.
I think the goal is to destroy the gaming community.
That is definitely a perspective that I thought about too.
Because here's my mindset. I'm putting my gaming hat. Games are fantasy. They're imaginary. They're not meant to be real. That's why I don't need a simulator of how to break across, the border into the United States. Like, that's not a game. That's you trying to push reality in a digital format. That's you trying to affect reality. No, I play games to escape reality. But I don't think it's going to stop because we see the money being invested in all of the big games. And there's been a lot of games come out, and even just with the consumer rights around games and the payment processors, they're trying to stop us from having games. And they're trying to use it as a sense of control, and they're trying to turn gamers into an actual voting bloc. Even though the gaming community does seem to have some very broad range, at the end of it, we just want to be left alone, and we want to have our games. We just want to have good, fun games, and we want to experience the art the way that we do. We want to be left generally alone. Like, I don't think gamers really spend too much time going out and causing too many problems.
No, it's also going to be a blowback against those who are trying to push this narrative, because, I mean, you have Asmongold, which has one of the largest audiences in the world in the streaming space right now.
Mhm.
And he has a very, I mean, there's going to, depending on which frame you want to look at this from, but just if you take a look at it objectively, I would have to say 80% of what he says is an objective view and stance. And he also says the quiet stuff out loud. He says what everyone else is thinking, and that's the reason why he is vilified.
And
Is
he also
because he
does
is
it as
giving
a
a
joke.
voice.
That's why he gets away with a lot, because he's very good at engaging with the people that are kind of toxic in his chat. I've learned a lot just by watching.
Yeah, I mean, there's definite things I don't like about him. There's a lot of things I like about him, a lot of things I don't like about him. I'm not going to, break everything down. But, you can't make everyone happy, and I view, when I do watch some of his clips, I don't view it as me liking him or disliking him. I just see what the information he's presenting, how he's presenting it.
I generally don't
And
care who's talking about it. Just, is the information good? I agree with you 100%.
So but when he does speak, he speaks in such a way that the gaming community listens specifically. And that's the reason why all these leftist organizations and, Hassan Piker and all these other people are so against him, is because he speaks the language so fluently that he is able to talk around anyone who doesn't speak the language fluently.
And he also has
unable to influence them to the degree that which they desire.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And he also has the clout to avoid most of the blowback. He has systems in place that, like, he can say some of the stuff, and he has his mods to delete the people that are just assholes. So he can still cultivate and, like, culture that conversation. So it's really good that he's in the position that he is with some of the heads that he has, or some of the ideas that he has. I think that he comes across based most of the time. I don't
disagree with you there.
I don't agree with him on everything, but then again, sometimes it's just how he's talking about it. And oh my God, someone thinks differently than me. Pain.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stances he has on various issues that I don't necessarily agree with, but I do have an understanding of why he has those stances, and I respect that he has those stances. I don't agree with the stances, but I'm able to, of course, pull back and understand, why he thinks that way, and respect him for it.
More important question. Do you think that if you could sit down and talk to him, that he would actually engage in those ideas with you?
Yes, absolutely.
That's the difference.
Yep, correct.
I'm fine 100%. If you have a different point of view. Just sit down and talk to me about it. I still may not agree with you.
Exactly. You can still be friends. You can still, it's just, going back to Miller's conversation, I have a feeling we're going to be talking about this almost every freaking podcast here for a while. But being able to sit down and have a conversation that we don't necessarily agree with, still be friends, still go have a beer, and still understand that, hey, we have this 90% of the things we align on, but this 10% we don't. So let's just focus on the 90%, and maybe we can slowly have conversations. So maybe we could possibly move each other toward, a more median for the other 10%. That is how society is supposed to work. But right now, of course, you have the people who are, if you don't align with me 100%, you're a Nazi, you're Satan, and you deserve to die. Is kind of where a not large percent of the population of the internet, but a decent percentage exist on both sides, left or right.
Right.
So,
well, since we have it here, I do believe that whenever I saw the full version of this, it's going to cut from like kind of the beginning and the end. Just it appears shorter, but essentially this person talked about the narrative or the agenda of the game for the entire time, and then didn't have time at the end of it to actually show the game demo.
This kind of, when I saw this, the first thing I thought in my mind was a gamified instructional video is what I kind of see this as. So
essentially, it's a how to break into the United States. I'm assuming it was grooming for here more people do it. Here's how to evade ICE. Yeah. Here's how to evade Border Patrol. It's essentially, I view it as assisting cartels.
Yeah. And the funny thing about it is now that he got such the traction and everything else, and supposedly there's a rumor going around that even Trump watches Asmongold, that Trump would see this and immediately order an investigation into it And the reason why everything disappeared is because it was to prevent that exact thing from happening.
Completely
Because
valid. Like it could, I thought that too. I thought that too. I didn't want to say it. I was like, what if they just went and like arrested her? There's like an investigation going on saying, yeah, your shit. It's because I mean, my problem is it tied back to the world I come up from. Let's watch just a minute or two of this.
Oh God, man, this is like grading on freaking chalkboard to me.
But it's okay.
Listening to her talk.
Yeah, but we get to borrow Asmongold's face for a little bit, so.
Yeah,
in
that's
the
even less
headlines
of
and
an
the
incentive.
news. I'm just curious. You can shout things out, or yep, go ahead. Trump out. Yes. Okay. Anyone else?
This is a GamesCon. It's about video games.
I just hope that China and Korea can save us from this madness. Maybe like South America can.
Pause it.
Oh my God.
Maybe Western Canada.
Well, yeah, it's. I think the context he's trying to say there is it's more of have these laws in place that would prevent, kind of political rhetoric and everything else to, what's it called? My brain's shutting down. Never mind. Continue.
In like consumer spaces.
Yeah, like to prevent people from just becoming too politically idiotic charged, because maybe there's the Southeastern Asian countries, or Japan is definitely in on it now, preventing any kind of like censorship and any kind of like rhetoric like this. So that may be a little outside it a little bit, but anyways.
God. There's somebody gotta do this. Like, this is bad.
What do you think is the primary motivation for people from Latin America or otherwise crossing the U.S.-Mexico border?
Who cares?
Violence.
Great. Okay, violence. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyone
that's
else?
the problem.
Else?
I used to live in El Salvador some years, and violence is the main.
Yes. Okay. So this is great because I think like in the U.S., one of the narratives that's being pushed is obviously, you've probably heard this. Americans or they'll often say Latin Americans, or they'll be reductive to Mexicans. They will say like they're just stealing our jobs, right? Like
they are. It's a fact. They're stealing the jobs. They're creating more.
I mean, there was examples of cannabis farms being entirely run by like child labor, or they had child labor working on it. And those,
I don't think entirely, but yeah,
they were found as working with child laborers, and those came from the illegal immigrant smuggling from the cartels. But this person wants to promote that. So does that mean this person supports child slavery?
Well, there's an argument to say that is it, but at the problem at the same time, that's also
I'm being hyperbolic for a reason, but yeah,
hyperbolic, yeah. But I'm still gonna say something and against it, because I don't want to be that hyperbolic in a lot of stuff when talking about information like this in this space, because it breeds ground for misinterpretation and breeds ground for clipping out of context and stuff like that.
I'm fine with the clipping out of context, but I think setting that ground and explaining that conversation helps us deal with some of those nuances, which is why I intentionally take some of the sides I do.
I know, and I'm just pushing back against you.
Okay.
Traffic. They overload social systems. They steal people's identities to get government benefits. They steal, obviously, a bunch of other different type of entitlement programs like food stamps, etc. They do jobs for cents on the dollar that should be made for Americans, or they should be improved by automation instead of relying on illegals as a working class of people. Where
do you usually see that happen? Factories, highly densely populated cities, I think.
Yeah. Well, so I was thinking the first thing that came to mind was the Tyson's chicken thing, where they got raided by ICE, and they're basically 80%, or I don't remember the exact percentage. Let's just throw a number out. 70% of the workforce was basically hauled off.
I've seen that with like hotel stuff too. Yeah.
So they were saying, I think it was like 40 million illegal immigrants currently in the country right now, and they're actually now blaming the illegal immigrants are the reason why like the housing crisis the housing costs has skyrocketed inside the United States, and you can kind of parallel that with the Canada has the same issue with not enough units for too many people because they're having a large influx of immigrants as well, but that they also have other problems that are contributing to it.
Yeah.
But you have companies like BlackRock and Blackstone and Vanguard who are going in supposedly, allegedly, buying up large swaths of single unit family houses.
Yeah.
And then trying to turn them around.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's just everything is connected, I guess.
Yeah. That's meant to create the rental economy where you own nothing, where you rent it and you let everyone else manage it. That's the goal for that.
Yeah, but they're also utilizing the illegal immigration as a way to facilitate that.
Facilitate and obscure. Yeah, no, all this shit ties together. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
It's the amounts of dots that connect that a lot of people just don't really think about connecting, and they exist there. And I keeps going back to, I'm going to say it every stream, that brick wall's coming. I don't know what's on the other side, but it's coming.
Well, hopefully we can get ahead of it this time.
Reason.
But Clippy wouldn't do that. Clippy just wanted to help.
Yeah, exactly.
Why people think this is because it's true. And also, by the way, they just showed up in our fucking country. Why the fuck should we be okay with people showing up in our country? We didn't say they could be here. What a ridiculous thing to say.
This is a time whenever I think he's actually joking.
Yeah. Well, he's framing it in such a way that he could later say that it's just a joke. It's like a
yeah, he's doing that intentionally there, though, is my point.
Yes.
People want to come here. Too bad. It's like even the base impulse of this is outrageous. Like the amount of entitlement that these people have is disgusting to me. It is. It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, pause it real quick.
That's what
something I just thought of is, how the left is always talking about, democracy. So if 50.1% of the people in this country say that we want all illegal immigrants out, then by their own logic, they should be out.
But but we're not a democracy. We're a meritocracy.
Exactly. We're technically a representative republic.
Sure.
But it's funny that, again, I just love to use these as an examples of the hypocrisy.
If you use their own logic against them, it falls apart pretty quick.
Yeah, anyways, yeah. That's basically it. Yeah, go ahead.
For democracy. If you would like to support democracy, you can also play Helldivers 2.
Oh boy.
Now available on Xbox.
Natives said too, no?
Not an ad.
Yeah, and look what happened.
not an ad, but if you want to pay me, I'm okay with it.
Them. Not so good, huh? Yeah, I don't want to end up like that.
One of the big rhetoric pushes, and part of what we're trying to do is challenge this misinformation, right? So
misinformation.
Let me just quickly show a couple of videos here. So we've done like
Row
voice of the people style interviews to ask people about their understanding about migration across U.S.-Mexico border. So let me see if this
public opinion on why people migrate to
U.S. Oh, hold on. I want to make sure this audio works.
This is a video game?
Friends. Let me see. Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm over that. But essentially, she spends the entire time saying, "Oh, well, we've asked this has this." Okay, no, I need to hear something.
This.
Quality of life, right? Like
I think it's like most things when it comes to immigration. It's always you're either fleeing something or want to get to something.
This is about U.S., right? Neither of these people sound like they're American.
And that's not you. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, duh.
And I know there's a lot of violence and drug problems in and around the border, with the cartels.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine it's just a lot of fleeing that really for
human trafficking,
safety for their families.
Poor countries, they are not making.
Oh my God!
money,
Yeah, just stop. they're not even utilizing Americans for this. This is a joke.
This is laughable.
This is obviously them trying to push a narrative.
This is
So far and
this
beyond.
is selective street questions from appears to be the same. Yeah, I can't take this person seriously. But I mean, the World Economic Forum's like, if this is their messaging, they're getting pretty damn bad at it. Like, they must be suffering from having that USAID funding cut. Damn.
Yeah. All I know is that next few months is going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting, and we're going to be here the entire time, breaking all of that shit down to you. It's going to be good. But yes, I don't think that we have time to really get into the AI one with what we have left. I'm actually good with calling it here. Is there anything that you kind of wanted to touch on to wrap up?
No, I think I've kind of beaten the horse a few times, and I got what I wanted to say out about the flag burning. So yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't trying to cut you off on that either. I was just like, my mind starts spinning, and it's just like I'm trying to keep all of the pieces moving. But okay, let's go ahead and we'll call that here. This was the 3rd episode. Do you have anything you would like to say to anybody that's currently listening or that listens to this later?
Be someone or do something. I do want to say something. I just said you asked me without me thinking about it. Go do something to make a change. Start small, expand, talk to others, get people on your side, but keep it on the down low, and then all attack at once.
Well, maybe not attack, but
attack the argument.
There you go. There you go. And as always, be the change you want to see in the world. That'll be it. That'll be it for us today, guys. This was episode 3. Are you free to burn your flag? I think that we had some really, really good conversations, Brewer. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. It's always more enjoyable than I think it's going to be. So I appreciate this.
Agreed.
Thank you to everybody that
absolutely.
has been here and chat with us. And hello, and thank you all for the people who are listening to the podcast VOD later. With that said, let's go ahead and have a good evening. Brewer, thank you for this Saturday.
Have a good week.
Bye.
I'm out. Later.